So, hi everyone. Welcome back to the community call. And as you see this week, we came back to streaming the call live on YouTube. Um, just to let you know, I think you also can see it in the window. But last week we didn't do it because we felt it would be more interesting to have more of an internal discussion. And I think we also need that from time to time. But this week we thought, okay, let's go back to some more of, I mean, it doesn't mean we cannot have any open discussions, but we just wanted to make sure to, again, document the calls. I hope that's fine for you. So I think let's just wait for another 1 or 2 minutes for more people to join us, and then we get started. Yeah, well, today I think will be a little bit of a smaller group than usual because also some of the core members of RChain Europe are not available today because they're engaged in all sorts of other stuff. So Steve can't be with us today, so there won't be an overview of the latest expression of wish talks, but that had to be, it couldn't happen yesterday anyway. So, but there will be a next one next Tuesday, like the usual time, 5 p.m. CTE, 4 p.m. British time. And it's always possible for everyone that is interested to join us for these calls. So Steve is very sorry that it couldn't happen yesterday, but he just had some unforeseen personal things coming up that he had to deal with. So it just wasn't possible for him. I just very quickly wanted to give you an update of where we currently stand here at RChain Europe. And I think most people already do have a sense of where we currently are. So as probably everyone knows, there has been some recent changes going on at RChain, at the entire ecosystem. And of course, this also affected us at RChain Europe. So there was a discussion taking place on how to proceed and what it actually is that we need in order to be able to sustain ourselves, at least for the next 1 or 2 months, or better 3 months, let's say, to be able to really have a little bit of a breathing space for fundraising, because that's what we currently mostly do, making sure that everything we've been working on lately, especially all the research that has been taking place on distributed governance, on decentralized governance, that this also at some point leads to either consultancy work or strategic partnership, for instance, research partnerships and so forth. So this is something where we currently put a lot of effort in. And I can give a few examples about that. Maybe one of the things that it's actually Peter Harris from our network, from Resonate. He can't be with us today in the call, but he said it would be great if we could just give an intro of his idea of a DApp repository that he has proposed, and that he has also shared it with quite a number of members from the network. And maybe Jeremy, you just want to talk a little bit about that, because I know you've been involved in that. Just give people an idea of what that actually is.
All right. Oh, you want me to do that now?
Yeah, would be great.
Oh, okay. Hey guys, I'm Jeremy. So I was just throwing up some like silly ideas I think could work about how we can all work together and to help get some fundings in, and one of which is going up to other not other cooperatives, but companies, and seeing if they can host or sponsor hackathons. And then what we do essentially is, because the rationale behind this is we have an awesome team behind us in terms of like devs, marketing, and everything like that, to where we can host or we can get sponsorships for hackathons. We can find issues they're having internally that we can utilize blockchain technology or just resources to, and then we can help receive funding that way. So I mean, it can just be not necessarily pertains to like small companies, but it can also be medium. But that can also fall in the lines of like corporation, what you described earlier. And another idea that I had was almost like a nonprofit approach to where like we receive donations and then we implement some more ideas and like pay some devs to implement ideas to help third world countries, like for instance, you know, the Philippines, how we can get them more water, things like that. So it's a positive approach to where we can still keep things in the community while getting funding to help create and produce better ideas and resources. And that's it.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeremy, I think that's a great idea. Sorry, one sec. So I have a question on the hackathon, because I think that would be really wonderful if we could do that. I just want to kind of get some clarity on your vision of a hackathon, because are you seeing the hackathon where we send our developers there and we get ideas and it's our devs who implement it? Or is it more that we teach them like maybe a half a day or whatever, and then it's actually up to them with our guidance, but their developers are the ones who are writing the dApps?
I was thinking, and this is up, I'm glad that you brought that up. This is more of an open for a collaboration type of deal, but I was thinking more in terms of, for instance, let's just take John Doe's paint shop down the street where they have an issue to where they want to build an application that allows, I don't know, like a new way of using e-commerce and with their how they can sell paints, but yet they're curious about blockchain technology. So what we can do is pull some volunteer devs, say, hey, if they sponsor this hackathon, and obviously like you get, or no, the devs get paid as well, but will you mind going to this hackathon and help implement like MVPs or viable solutions? Same thing with almost like a similar process of what we did with this Tampa Bay outreach with Coin Faucet, where you find an idea, implement it, create an MVP, and just issue it out. So that'd be a viable way. And so other companies can be like, oh wow, at RChain Europe, for the RChain Europe Cooperative, they have a good trend going in terms of creating valuable MVPs and like helping us solve issue that takes us months and years to solve. They was able to solve it in a week. And that will be that's like part of the reasoning behind that on my end.
Cool. No, I think that's a great idea. I don't know if I would call it a hackathon though. And to me, a hackathon is where, you know, we go to the community, maybe we have a meetup and whatever, and then, you know, and I know people don't know Golang, so it would maybe require like a one-day workshop or a half-a-day workshop, but then the idea is that, say you get 12, 15 people, they could break up into teams or they have their own teams, and then they create something, they truly do a hack, and then there's like a prizes, right? So then, you know, from us, and we say, okay, this is the first, second, third place winners, and they get,
you can gamify it as well, right? So you can say, all right, our devs versus your devs, and we can just like gamify it to where, let's just say for the company's devs, you get, I'm not sure, a corporation where it's like, you know, free week at PTO with like a bonus, where our devs can win and come up with a really good MVP while utilizing blockchain technology.
Yep, absolutely.
Then what we can do is like, all right, you get the prize, and it'll be divided amongst everyone accordingly to help get more resources in.
Right, and maybe for the 6 months when we're doing this, we actually have one of our devs on their teams.
Yeah, and that'd be like it'd be a really cool thing. So not only you get more acclimated, it's like you kind of into the corporate. This is just my thought process. It helps get a lot of people involved and get the name out there in terms of, oh wow, what's RChain Europe? Or for instance, if RChain Asia wanted to do the same thing, oh, what are they doing over there? And that helps build that reputation where you're now creating that staple not only in the community, but you can, it can kind of counteract like both and just help each other out in terms of getting the name out there, getting funding. Let's just say this, hey, can we hire some of your devs? And the devs agreed, and cool, great. So you're helping out the whole entire cycle on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a whole plan.
But I'm more for
Jonathan's been working on a plan. So so I think maybe the three of us could collaborate on that.
Yeah, that would actually.
Yeah, and I'm more like, yeah, and my heart primarily lies for the nonprofit approach, because I really do like doing, like, for instance, like humanitarian efforts, and that kind of, like, for the other idea, it kind of spun up when I was in the Philippines. I realized they had a water issue. That'd be a cool thing to, if, like, for instance, Jonathan, on your end, you can reach out to the Philippine government, say, hey, we hear, some of the citizens' concerns. Could we work on, like, a blockchain dApp that allows X, Y, Z to happen, and they make partnerships and receive funding from there as well? So again, these are just like ideas I'm just trying to spin out to where we can help out not only each other but the co-ops.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, Detroit has the same water problem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are all part of the same ecosystem. So what we are also doing currently is to set up a repository of documents and bios of team members and what it is that we do to really tap on this stuff for funding applications, because there's quite a number of things that we currently apply for. We are putting research partnerships together with universities, but also incubator programs in different places here in Europe, because there's a lot of stuff out there. We've talked about it in previous calls, but now we are really working on those applications. And a lot of it is centered around real world applications of decentralized governance. And also we try to just capitalize on the research we've been doing over the past couple of weeks and months and really try to get something out of that. Mm-hmm. So if there's anything you would like to add to this repository, you're welcome. And I can also make sure to invite you to that folder where we collect all sorts of stuff, because that I think is useful for everyone if we get hold of this kind of information, right?
And
yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I saw Jonathan's question. He asked, "What is coin faucet?" You mind if I can touch up on that real quick?
Coin faucet. Jonathan asked, "What did Jeremy mean by coin faucet?" Yeah.
So coin faucet was actually so one of the members, Chris Williams, was working on an application with him and his team that they was able to put Nardo on a Raspberry Pi device. And what they're doing with that device is you put in a local business, right? And so one of his famous things is like a beer token. So this little device sits into a local business, and it randomly drops tokens, and it helps incentivize businesses like in the customers to stay there, knowing that there's going to be a coin drop. So if you know that there's going to be a coin drop where you get a free beer, that will incentivize you to stay there. And so it's a application that he's working on now, which I think he's going to be in testing pretty soon, relatively this week. We have this on a RChain meetup. I'll pin the link on here as well, but it's a really cool idea, and I like it in it's simple, and it really will help small businesses or even medium-sized businesses in terms of retaining customers and incentivizing customers to stay. And that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, there are actually even large-scale applications for it. It's really a cool proof of concept that he's been working on. I'm happy to hear that he's actually going to be going live with it. But yeah.
Okay. Hopefully, Jonathan, this answered your question. Nick was just pointing out in the chat, how about working with big systems integrators who have innovation ideation facilities, but who lack specialist blockchain development skills and platforms? Maybe Nick, you want to quickly dwell on that, what that means? Would be
yeah, sure. So many of the big independent SIs, I'm not talking about IBM or people or SIs who have a capability of their own in terms of their own hardware platforms or blockchain platforms. The ones which have sort of quite a big presence with major clients like UK government, for example, sometimes when they're asked, okay, can you stand up an innovation center around blockchain in say the Home Office or around welfare payments or around, so they ask for those events, and I've run those events in those consultancies. But what they often struggle with is actually standing up a dev team quickly enough to get the right skills and experience with the technologies to do something useful in those sessions. So they typically end up with something trivial or which doesn't really do the job. So the idea of Jeremy's idea of doing the hackathon there, but with, if you like, subcontracting the hackathon development capability to the people, you know, to the SI, who then has the relationship with a major government client or major other, you know, corporate client, that might work. They might be interested in that. And I've got a few contacts who, if you're interested in doing something like that, I've got a good contact, an innovation contact in the UK who would be interested in something like that, I think.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nick. That's actually very appreciated. And I can tell you that already now, even if it don't exist that long, but nonetheless, people have spotted what's going on, and there is interest emerging from different angles. And we are also negotiating with some partners consultancy contracts right now. And this is very encouraging because that would also help us to really become financially sustainable, not only short term, but really in a longer perspective. And it would also allow us to capitalize a little bit more on the research and the knowledge we've been gathering. So this is something that is, yeah, I agree. This is very important, and it's really something that we should just think of, you know, how to gather everyone's expertise, like within this group, within this co-op, and to make sure to also create consultancy offers.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you don't get into body shopping with that, with those sort of ideas. So I think it would be really good if we can come up with a service offer, so it's clear what we, the co-op, are offering and what our terms are, because otherwise these SIs, you know, you probably don't want the sort of relationship that they would go for. You know, they would be more interested in the low rate body shopping thing. So if you can create a service and package that service and work as on a peer-to-peer level with them, then you're in a better position than just going in on their terms.
Yeah, absolutely. No. I think that's entirely the point. And also, needless to say, we are a co-op, right? So whatever is being developed in terms of knowledge should be available for everyone, right? Just as the research, for instance, that Andreas has been working on with the distributed governance projects is available for everyone, and I think already has been widely shared within the co-op. But what I'm envisioning is really to get a better understanding of where everyone is good at and creating these services, because there is a very high need, and it would allow us to come up with partnerships and create contracts that are maybe not that highly priced, but if we have many of them and if we have them in a consistent manner, that's already really valuable for us, right? So that's another thing I have been thinking of that could be, or that already seems to be, that already seems to be something that people are interested in, you know.
Great.
So I've also just wanted to make a brief announcement, because I think I've already mentioned it last week. So originally we had planned a 3-day event, November 23rd to 25th, which consisted of a meetup on Friday and a 2-day hackathon. So together with InBlock.io, we have then decided to cancel the hackathon because we do not have the funds for it. But nonetheless, we by all means wanted to hold on to the meetup. So the meetup is going to happen, and we already have a great lineup of people that are going to talk and especially speak around the topics of decentralized governance. And we'll also make sure to live stream that event and to share it within the network, and to really use that opportunity to tap on the knowledge of our communities and to think together on what's the best way to proceed. And also we want to use this meetup as an ideation moment for really thinking of, like you guys just did here in the call, of thinking of future hackathons and the nature of these hackathons and what we could do to further incentivize communities to work together with us and to share their knowledge with us. So this is definitely happening. And I just want to invite everyone who is here in Europe, or maybe even in Berlin, or those that are placed in the neighborhood here, you're very welcome to join in. And we will publish the lineup of speakers. I think tomorrow will be done. And I'm quite positive that this is going to be an interesting evening. So this is definitely happening. Another thing, let me check. So another thing that we have to prepare is a member meeting for RChain Europe. This simply has to do with the fact that we have drafted our bylaws in a relatively quick manner, and we always have called it the minimum viable co-op, simply because we wanted to have it ready by the beginning of September. But now, over the past couple of months, we have also realized what it is that we should change in our bylaws. And also, we do have the need to create an advisory board, because different from the way a US co-op works, in Europe, you need to install an advisory board. And that's probably the equivalent of the US board, because in the US, you have the officers and you have the board. And here in Germany, it's like you have the board, which is equivalent to the officers, and then you have the supervisory board. It's an additional layer of responsibility and also of governance within the co-op. So we are getting to that point where we need to think of people that we would like to nominate for this advisory board, but also people that could imagine to be a member of the board. So this is something we didn't really get too deep into it because we have been really busy over the last 2 weeks to just merely secure our survival and make sure that all of this can go on. But I think we kind of got there. So we're quite optimistic that that this is now the moment to really think of how we are going to reconfigure the co-op, who wants to play a role in there, and what are the changes in the bylaws. And there's quite a lot of work needed. And I would be very happy if we could tap on the experience of everyone and learn a little bit also from you. So especially people like Ian, who just went through the AGM and helped facilitating that process. I think that's certainly something that we just need to make sure we'll facilitate in the best way. And also because our team won't be able to continue in the same size as we did, simply because we had to cut down costs. We really need to make sure that we are using the available manpower in the best possible way. Already Jeremy is saying, I can help with blog content and programming. That's fantastic. It's really good to know. Thank you.
I'd like to make a suggestion.
Please.
The people who are most motivated to see the RChain ecosystem succeed are the people that have invested heavily and are currently very underwater and are basically trying to decide right now whether to try to recover their currently lost costs. There is nobody right now that has bought into Rock who is not underwater unless they bought in the past couple months. So within Europe, I'm sure there are a large number of, or there are at least some large rock holders who believe passionately in the technology and the promise, who want to see it succeed and might be willing to double down is in some ways the wrong word, but want to contribute to the success by supporting good projects, good initiatives that enhance the success of the existing parts of the project. So I would encourage all of you in Europe to think closely about who your allies are in terms of people that are already financially invested in this and are deep pocketed and may be willing to help in various ways.
That's a good point, Jonathan. That's true. That's right. It would be really interesting to identify these people and see to what level they are engaged and willing to help with the current situation. I agree. Leah had a remark. Maybe Leah, you wanna share what you just put in the chat?
Well, actually, it's not that relevant compared to Jonathan's point. But there are some people who are not underwater. But you know, Jonathan's point stands, and it's a
Yeah, but nonetheless, I'm really interested in how is it going on your end? So what are you currently working on? Because I was aware that you guys must have been incredibly busy in coming up with statements and all the content production and community work. So how have you organized yourself now?
Well, there's another group. Okay, for anybody who doesn't know, the marketing group has been dissolved officially by the co-op as of November 15th. So there are other people within the co-op who are taking on those roles, but we've had some meetings about this, and most of us are going to continue to work in providing blog content and, you know, in social media and being involved in whatever other ways we can, collaborating with people on blog posts and press releases to inform the community, stuff like that. So we're still working out exactly what we're doing, but the major kinds of blog posts that we've been producing that the community expects, we will continue to do.
Okay.
And we are going to try to help keep the community more up to date.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I've seen the statement on the recent changes at RChain Cooperative that came up, I think yesterday, right? Or when was it published?
Yeah, that was yesterday. Derek and Fabian are going to remain employees of the co-op, and so they're taking the lead on that kind of stuff now. Mm-hmm. So we're just cooperating in whatever ways we can, and then sort of doing supplemental stuff.
Okay, fantastic. Very good. Yeah, just, you know, let's just keep us posted if there's anything we can help with. So we're still, I mean, as I said, we are operated with limited numbers, but nonetheless, we are glad if there's stuff we can help with, or if there's content we can share. Just let's be in touch about that.
Definitely, yeah. I would like us to keep collaborating, and there's quite a few of us who are interested in continuing with the Expression of Wish group also.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So there will be another opportunity on Tuesday, and I think we should also think of maybe a second moderator in case, like yesterday, in case Steve cannot do it. I think it's more sustainable and more healthy if we have like 2 or 3 moderators for that call, because then if one steps out or, you know, just can't do it, there's still the option of getting together and proceeding with the work. So that's also another learning. So thanks for that, Leah. I just wanted to ask here in the group whether there are any particular questions, whether there's anything you would like to bring up. Any questions, comments, feedback?
I'd like to hear of Tomasz.
Tomasz. Me too, Tomasz from Poland. We had a phone call lately, and I think, Tom, you've been to one of our previous calls. Good to see you. Hi.
Yes, hi. Hi, very nice. Do you hear me?
Yes, very good.
Oh, good. Good. Yes, we are going to be on 23rd November in Berlin. Yeah, so yeah, we are just trying to how to approach and how to get involved more in terms of engineering and maybe in terms of consultancy, what Nick said, that we've got a quite, let's say, good knowledge regarding blockchain, all this kind of distributed, decentralized applications, but how to, let's say, put this into practice. So this is the case for me. Unfortunately, I'm more from, let's say, marketing business, and I'm trying how to convince, let's say, some other commercial companies to get involved. Also, our government, or I'm from Poland, our government are open for this kind of, but they are not how to tackle that, how to embrace these new things and make it happen. Yeah. Yes, so at this moment we are just taking commercial projects and doing for Tezos, for Cardano, there is a huge demand. Maybe not most like a body, because it's not a big deal to just providing engineers, but providing the team that can build something together with someone who has domain knowledge in particular area, like, let's say, government, logistic, other industries. So yeah, I think that we've got almost everything to start, but we are, in Eastern Europe especially, we are good in engineering, but it's hard to figure out about the products, about the use cases. This is the case that we are struggling. We know how to, let's say, do particular tasks and make code, but it's from, yeah, I see when I've got clients in States, in New York, in California, they are very quick with building like an MVP, building some kind of product market fit. We are good in engineering work, but maybe it's about the perspective. Yeah, it's our perspective.
That's also why we definitely should meet, because when it comes to use cases or user stories, things like that, we've been working on stuff. I'm really glad that you can make it on the 23rd. So let's just make sure that there will be enough time, maybe also the day after, because we know there are some people that are traveling from neighboring countries in Europe, and we just want to make sure that we have time with them and to really have these conversations of what it actually is that really brings us to a collaboration. So if you intend to stay overnight, then we might have a chance to talk on the following day as well.
Yeah, I think that if you RChain Corp or Europe or States can, let's say, prepare some tasks. So let's say scope of the work that we could provide, even without any commercial rates or this kind of stuff, because we would like, let's say, I can convince someone that it's important to do something before, let's say, thinking about monetization or this kind of stuff. But for me, it's hard to start with something. Yeah, we are engineers, so we are looking for the scope of the work. What should be delivered? Yeah, we can figure out about the architecture, about these cases, but for us, it's definitely the need for kind of product or more business people.
Yeah. We should introduce Thomas to Steve Bizzaio. Yeah, I believe he's still around in some degree.
Okay.
Steve Bizzaio, just to give you an update, he's very much around.
Right.
And the reason why he can't be on this call is that he's very busy helping to bring a contract together for RChain Europe, and which he was like, he played the main role in bringing that together at all. So Stephen is on a very positive mission and can therefore participate. That's the reason why, but he's still around and I talk to him almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, so do I. So, and I think he's got, really great business ideas and energy and
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so Stephen will be there on the 23rd as well. And Tom, we make sure to introduce you to that kind of people that are of interest to you, because I really appreciate your interest in the project. And this is not the first conversation we're having, but I think sometimes it's just a matter of meeting personally and trying to look at all those loose ends, because I have to admit, we have a lot of those loose ends currently lying around the entire co-op ecosystem. And I'm so much tempted to take all these loose ends and try to bring together where stuff really should get together. And I think maybe that's the positive side of things, that we maybe get to do that in the near future. Maybe there just wasn't space for that before. I really hope we can get to that point.
Yeah, me too.
So I'd like to follow up on something you said and really amplify a lot of what Tomasz said, which is that what we have decided in RChain Asia to do, given the current uncertainty, and I'm talking about the elephant in the room here. We've got the co-op with its current development plans for a Rolang-based implementation of the RChain vision. And now we have an incipient possible fork, which is going to be based on a different kind of calculus model, which may not involve Rolang at all. So what I've decided to do, I've just this week incorporated a legal entity here in Singapore. And I'm hesitating whether to call it RChain Asia or not. What I'm instead thinking of doing is creating, along with Tomasz, what Tomasz was saying, is creating a generalizable blockchain consultancy, and creating a team that is knowledgeable about Cardano and Silica and EOS and RChain and the possible RChain fork, and just being very platform agnostic and using our blockchain expertise and the domain expertise of our team members to really provide an array of solutions. If, for example, I chose to totally throw my cards right now into the current Rolang blockchain or Rolang RChain Scala implementation of a blockchain solution, given the current uncertainties, financial uncertainties of co-op, that might be a dead end financially and strategically. So instead, I'm thinking, let's generalize our skill sets and be adaptable, and really help platform partners make the best choices about the available blockchain solutions.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I have to tell you, because I think it's exactly what you're saying, Jonathan. That is the reason why we are still here. It is not because we are all waiting for their platform to be ready, but we are still here and we are still optimistic and we are still willing to do stuff, because I think, at least let me just speak for myself, I have found really interesting individuals, and some people maybe even became friends. And what I see is the knowledge, is the experience, and is just this motivation of working together. And that is what I said before. That's already what brought us to the point where people are interested in working with us as individuals or as a group, preferably as a group, because I think for me there's a very interesting point in the in being a co-op, because that also allows us to capitalize on that expertise and knowledge altogether. So yeah, I think it's a great way to go. I would totally second that.
Yeah, I definitely believe that there will be a timing that we can, work, have more work, or have more, let's say, kind of cases that we can prove our value and to build something together. Yeah, but it's at this moment I can put engineers in a commercial project or in this project, and for me it's kind of, let's say, problem with this business case at this moment. But I can ask some of them and they can work, let's say, after hours to help to build, to do some consultancy. Our experts are right now in New York and they are traveling all over the world. So we are providing workshops. So how to make the workshop with, let's say, RChain in Korea? Yeah, why not? We can help with that. Just without commercial, let's say, I'm saying about a lot about the commercial, but I'm personally also very involved in this movement, in this what you are doing, and I think that there will be a trigger to just switch from your, let's say, current approach to this approach, to focus more on this approach. And I really believe that it's getting earlier to start this this cooperation. I really appreciate what you are doing, Ella. I'm really appreciate that, and thank you for that, definitely.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Today, we just need to make sure to end in time, because I will be on a community hangout organized by the Platform Co-op consortium, and that will start at 6 p.m. You're all invited to join in if you like, if you still have some time and are willing to listen to that. So I'll talk about my work with Platform Co-ops in Germany, but also with RChain. So they specifically asked for that. And the initiator of this Platform Co-op community hangouts is the New School in New York. And Trevor Scholz is one of the people that organized it. So I will also introduce our work at RChain, and yeah, everything else I'm doing in Berlin. And that'll start in 20 minutes. And I'm just copying the URL. It will also happen on Zoom. So those of you that feel like joining it, please do. Are there any other?
Yeah, I'd like to ask.
Oh, yeah.
We have two members of RChain US here, Ian and Bill, that have been auditing. I'd like to know if they have any thoughts or comments they want to share.
Thanks, Jonathan, and congratulations about all the great work that you're doing for RChain Asia and the incorporation. So for RChain US, we had a board meeting yesterday, and we'll have a presentation by Greg Meredith at 11 a.m. Pacific today to present some of what the board decided. Our minutes probably won't be released right away, but we have a new policy on getting them out within 7 days. Any other questions? So, Bill, is anything from you?
Sure. So, I think part of one of Ella's questions earlier was about, you know, what our involvement was to be, and, you know, what we wanted to contribute. And the things for me in particular about the European cooperative was the whole aspect of distributed governance, decentralized governments, expression of will, expression of wish, things of that nature. And it's interesting to me, particularly in the times that we're in right now, watching the cooperative membership and how it's behaving and acting. And it seems to me it's much more traditional in terms of like looking to leadership to provide ways out, wanting new leadership, you know, in very similar positions of authority, you know, that will lead to a launch of the mainnet. This entire fork, as the community is calling it, is very interesting to me. It's of course my first time, you know, going through such an experience like that. And, you know, in a traditional setting, you know, you'd be much more calling for a unification, working together, continual commitment to the work at hand, getting people back focused on the objectives that need to be accomplished. And, you know, we've got groups. I mean, we're not even out of the first week of the news of this other group moving on. We've already got people that are saying, well, you know, let's be open and available and providing our resources and our talents for anybody. And it certainly, to my mind, brings up, well, certainly I question now their loyalty to the project from the beginning. And certainly there's been characters in this space that are really only about financial gain. And they're not thinking about, how is this platform going to help, address 21st century problems in the world, whether it be cleaning up the Pacific Ocean of its trash and such, or coming out with new ways that people can work together and organize and really, be a part of a 21st century economy. And so it's, my commitments continue to be with RChain and trying to help it through this period of time. I spent the last week negotiating with developers, getting them on board, and trying to get this group moving forward in a unified manner. So my hope is that we're able to do that successfully, and I'm going to hold my beliefs that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, forking a project, I mean, it can be quite positive if the goal is to develop better technology, but there are other aspects as well. So the other group, they should. I'd like to see some clarification of what their governance structure is, what the place is of whether they have any kind of membership, or are they going to set up as a cooperative as well, and also the economics. So what's the economic participation in that project, and how existing rock holders might be considered. So there's some big questions there.
Yeah, and as I understand it, what they're taking with them now is essentially like the first quarter or the first half team's playbook. They don't have what you need, to get to Venus, and then to bring on new tools and applications to go even further than that. And that you need the Rolang in order to accomplish those things. So you could try to write this in other code bases, but as I understand, without the Rolang, it doesn't get you all the way there.
Yeah.
I have to object to that characterization because I think nobody knows. And I think all we have is Greg's opinion on what he thinks from a couple conversations. I think it's too early. Like you said, it's less than a week old. Nobody knows. Yeah, it's like a divorce. Both sides probably have valid points, right? We don't know what their playbook looks like. We don't know who their personnel is. We don't know what they're planning to do. We don't know if there's going to be adoption of some kind of swap for rock. Nobody knows. And I would actually just like to reserve judgment on them because, and listen, since I met Greg, I said, open source, we always have this risk that somebody's going to come along and fork our project. But I think any other characterizations, Greg ends as well as emails, love to all beings. So do we really believe in love to all beings? So that includes even the people who are opponents, right? So I think we need to just kind of chill a little bit, not be quick to jump on a characterization of if their project is going to fail or not. I'd actually be more concerned about Vitalik and Serenity, which he says is going to be released a lot quicker. And if you saw his speech at Prague, his feature set of Serenity, Ethereum 2.0, is exactly what our feature set is. So to me, that's more of a risk to the RChain project than some new startup that seems to be a direct competitor.
Ned, can you tell us more about Serenity?
There's a great 29-minute video on YouTube from Vitalik. He presented at Prague at DevCon 4, I think like a week or so ago. And he talked about how for the last 4 years, they've been going down rabbit holes with Casper, sharding, but that they're on a really good track now. And he didn't give a release date, but people are thinking testnet in first quarter 2019. But sharding, validators, full implementation of Casper, a new virtual machine, totally rewritten virtual machine. I mean, I'm listening to his rattling off his features and I'm going, man, that's RChain, like to the T, right? And so, if that gets achieved and we're still getting to mainnet, to me, that's a big competitor, right? That's a big risk.
Yeah, we need to be working on a point of view then pretty soon on what are the essential differentiators between the two, if any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
what
now,
is the
How I feel as well.
what is the realistic timeline for implementation to a testnet of Serenity?
he didn't give any dates, but what I've been reading, so his statement was, we're closer than everybody thinks. I mean, he said, Ethereum from white paper to mainnet was 19 months. And he said, this is going to be much quicker. It seems the general consensus is Q1 for a testnet. Full proof of stake, not a hybrid solution. And I want to back up and tell people, so my new role for now to get us to mainnet is, so the solutions group is kind of on a back burner. And I'm working with Deanna Duke and Kelly. Kelly has come over, Kelly Foster, and the three of us are going to be managing the development towards mainnet. So Kelly's going to be day-to-day project manager. Deanna Duke is going to be the program manager, and I am going to act as the product owner or the stakeholder for mainnet. By the end of this week, we're going to have a roadmap of what mainnet is going to look like for us. So we're still working that through this week. Actually, I have a meeting in 8 minutes with Greg and the dev team. Turns out the dev team, I mean, they worked so hard, but it turns out they themselves had no vision of even the feature set that they were working towards as they were, putting in, the different use cases. So we've got a bunch of work to do. I mean, they're really, so the 11 developers who have stayed with us are really, really talented, and we need to make sure we're all working smart, not necessarily harder. And so between Kelly, Deanna, and myself, we've got decades of software development, project management experience. And so we are committed to getting mainnet, out the door. But we have to really decide on what that feature set is going to look like.
I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry, Ned, for interrupting you and everyone else, but I need to wrap this up now.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm sorry. If you can invite people in your room to continue the discussion, and I would love to be part of it as well, but it just have to wrap it up for today. I'm sorry, because this other talk is starting in 5 minutes, and I need to show up a little bit earlier. Thanks so much, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care and talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ella.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ella.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.